Hey everyone, welcome to my channel to all things football and all things career mode. Today I'm here to give you guys my new, fully interactive, realistic career mode rule set. I'm hoping this will truly make all your career modes more realistic and enjoyable, whether you're on PC or console. My rule set affects nearly every aspect of the game. It overhauls how finances work, how the transfer market functions. It modifies the youth academy, scouting, player contracts, training, and development. It also introduces new features like sponsors, market size, and club prestige. But the biggest thing it does? Bringing all these changes and introducing them into career mode through club customization. Imagine being able to create a club in the same way you create a character in RPG games with unique starting attributes and abilities, and then leveling up that club as you play. That's exactly what you see here on the screen, guys. This is the club customization card, where you get to choose what kind of club you are, or in other words, you get to choose your club's core DNA. Each of the 7 DNA strands you see here are like a club's attributes and correspond to different areas of a football club: culture, operations, recruitment, employment, development, networking, and academy. Every club starts off with a set of base abilities, but each career mode plays out differently depending on the club you start with and the DNA you choose. You start off with a pool of DNA points that you can allocate to the different strands as you see fit. Each strand has a primary ability attached to it and has 10 levels that reflect the star rating of your club in that area of football. Each DNA point you invest into a strand also unlocks unique traits that you can then purchase with trait points and gain unique abilities. Each season, you'll gain DNAs and traits to level up your club. So when you're choosing a club's core DNA, carefully decide what you want your club to be good at and which traits you're looking to pick up. Remember, you won't have points to get everything, especially at the beginning if you're a smaller club. Once you choose your club's core DNA, the next step is to move on to the different cards in the rule set. I'll do an overview of them all here in this video and talk about the different things my rule set modifies in career mode, but there is also a detailed tutorial playlist set up which explains each card in depth. You can find a link to that in the description below and on the top of every card. Before I dive into specifics here, I just wanted to quickly say a few things about how this rule set is set up. So this isn't a mod for PC. It was designed with both PC and console users in mind. It runs as a fully interactive Google Sheet and is meant to be a sort of companion app while you play your career mode that will calculate and store everything for you. It's optimized for use on a PC or laptop. That's where it runs the fastest and the smoothest, but it's fully functional on mobile devices as well. The only thing needed to run my rule set is a Gmail, and if you're on mobile, then the Google Sheets app. That's it. The link to the Google Sheet is provided in the description below, and you'll find more instructions on how to proceed there. Now let's go back and take a closer look at the rule set and all the different cards. The club overview. This is where you'll find all the information about your club, everything from club overall to the current league you're playing in. At the end of each season, you fill out an end of season report, and all these values get updated for you. There are a couple of different mechanics I use in my rule set, and it's probably a good time to introduce some of them now. So here we go. First up, league reputation. Every league has a reputation based on UEFA or international coefficients and is ranked on a tier list. A club's league reputation affects the pull it has in the transfer market. The same mechanic is applied to international competitions. The bigger the tournament, the more pull you have when negotiating for players. Next up, dynamic prestige. Every club starts with a certain level of domestic and international prestige depending on how well the club has done in recent history and how big its brand is. Again, the more prestigious your club, the more successful it will be in both retaining its own players and recruiting new ones. As you play your career mode and hit different achievements, your prestige grows. Next up, market size. Every club has a different market size, reflecting the population of the metropolitan area your club is located in. The bigger a club's market size, the more money it will generate from its revenue streams. It will also be able to sign more lucrative sponsorship deals, which brings me to the next feature, sponsors. Every season, you will be able to sign sponsorship deals that increase your revenue streams. Different sponsorship deals will reward you with different sources of income. The club card also acts like a preseason menu, where you will fill out the beginning of the season finances, including any prize money you receive from preseason tournaments. It's also the place where you get to choose bonus club functions unlocked through core DNA traits. So for example, if you pick the club ambassador trait, you pick the continent your club ambassador represents here in the club card, and that automatically updates the rest of the sheet where relevant. The squad hub. This is where you'll find all the rules associated with player training, fitness levels, development, squad role limits, and injury settings. Again, there are base rules for how a training regime looks like, how many players you can develop per season, how many players you can have on your roster for each role, etc. And then it's your development DNA and traits that fine-tunes and determines exactly how many focused development plans you can set per season, how many position development plans, how much weak foot and skill moves you can improve, what grades you get in training, how many recovery days you can set a month in your training schedule, the injury sliders you play with, how many players of each role you can have in the squad, how many star players you can have, all these things. And all this information is then readily available for you to reference here in the abilities section. The entire rest of the page is dedicated to a squad list. This is a completely optional tool for you to use. It won't affect the rest of the rule set in any way, but it's here for you to fill out using the input tool on the right hand side. Over the course of the season, in my rules, you will have players who will refuse to sign new contracts with you after bigger clubs come in for them, players who you can strike gentlemen's agreements with to stay at the club until the end of the season when something like that happens. I've added icons in the player input box, so it's a great way to keep tabs on which players those are. But again, you don't have to use this tool, it's there for you if you choose. GTN Scouting. This is where you'll find all the rules associated with your GTN scouting network, like how many scouts you can employ and what the staff's max star rating can be. It's also the place to find which locations you can scout in the game. Every career mode will be different. The home region will always be unlocked for you, but other locations are always randomized and assigned to the networking levels when you pick a team. In general, the more networking DNA you have, the more locations you can scout in. Depending on the traits you acquired, you can expand that list with more locations of your choice. The Youth Academy. This is where you'll find all the rules associated with both youth scouting and the youth academy itself, like how many scouting trips you can send per season, how many prospects you can sign, how many players you can have in your academy, and how many you can promote to the first team every season. It's also the place to find which locations you can scout for youth in-game. Every youth scout's nationality unlocks a new region to scout in. This is also where you will find the first calculator of my rule set, Buzzco's Prospect Signing Calculator. Essentially, you fill in the prospect's potential and attempt to sign him. The calculator tells you if you're successful. Depending on your club's overall and what academy traits you picked up, that chance will vary. Buying players. This is probably the biggest part of my rule set. This card is solely dedicated to calculators which you use when buying players. One to determine if a transfer is realistic, and the other to determine the minimum fee you have to pay to buy the player. Buzzco's Transfer Realism Calculator uses a dozen or so different factors to determine if a transfer is realistic. It takes into account the overalls of the two teams, their league reputations, the international competitions they play in, their prestige, the player's overall and potential, how long they've been at the club, if they're transfer listed or unused. It then comes up with a base number, and in addition to that number, it adds all the bonuses you've acquired from the different CoreDNA traits you own and tells you if a transfer is realistic. Once you have a realistic transfer you'd like to make, you then use Buzzco's Player Value Calculator to determine what you need to pay for him. This is based on the player's overall, potential, age, form, morale, contract status, and market value. Selling players. This is very similar to the buying players card. You've got two calculators, one for determining if you are forced to sell a player, and another to determine the transfer fee you can ask for. Buzzco's selling rating calculator uses many of the same criteria as the realism calculator, this time to calculate a selling club rating. Depending on how long your player has been at the club, which transfer window you're in, the players you've already sold in that window, and the core DNA traits you have, that rating might mean that you are forced to listen to offers. Over the course of your career, you will indeed encounter situations where you are forced to sell players, but only for a fair valuation, and that's where the player value calculator comes in. It's nearly identical to the one on the buying card, but adds a player's role and exact contract length to the calculation, and then tells you what you need to receive as fair compensation. Club finances. This is a big one, guys. It has quite a few layers to it as well. So first off, this is where you have Buzzco's contract calculator, which tells you the mandatory signing bonus and wage you must offer a player, and it scales with the player's squad role. The squad bonus increases greatly if the player is a free agent or pre-contract signing, so you won't be able to abuse that section of the market in my rules. These values are based on the club wage structure, which you can find right next to the calculator. There's a total squad weekly budget, which increases from season to season. Now, how fast depends on your core DNA, how many overalls your team went up by that season, and whether you got promoted to a higher division that season. There's also a minimum and maximum wage for each squad role. The club finances, in other words, the transfer budget you get each season, is completely overhauled. You only receive a portion of what the board allocates you at the beginning of the season. It's now directly linked to the different revenue streams you see in the finances section of the game and your core DNA, which unlocks those different revenue streams. All your finances carry over from season to season, and it's done so through the last card, which ties my rule set together. The postseason. Once you finish a season, you have to submit your end of season report. First, the financial report, where you take your carryover from the finances card, plus your current earnings and expenses from the in-game finances. You also log your achievements for the season, and once you submit, your revenue streams will be updated for next season, and depending on what you've managed to achieve as a football club, your prestige will grow, and most importantly, you will get more DNAs and traits to level up your club in the core DNA card. Once you're done here, you simply go back to using the cards again for next season with everything fully updated for you. So that's my new, fully interactive, realistic career mode rule set, guys. This project took quite a long time to put together. I really did put my all into this, and while I'm super proud of it, I'm just scratching the surface. There is a ton of ideas I still have for new features, and there are existing features I still want to build upon and optimize. So there will be lots more to come. I wanted to take a second here and give a shout out to two people. My brother Rob, who did most of the coding for this rule set and in general just put a ton of effort into this, and Toby, who created the first spreadsheet for my original rule set and shared it with me to use, in the end becoming the inspiration for me to create this project. Without you guys, this new rule set could never have been created. Thank you so much. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. As I said, there will be lots more to come. All the career modes on my channel will be played using this rule set. Any future updates, DLCs, new additions will also be free and shared with you guys. But if you did like the rule set and you want to support it, see it grow, if you want to support me and my content, I've set up a Patreon where you can do that. It would be your choice, but as I've said many times before, I really appreciate every subscriber, like, comment, every chance I get to engage with you guys and talk about football. And the same goes for everyone who does decide to subscribe to me on Patreon. Thank you. It really means the world to me. You guys are truly amazing, and it will go a long way to helping me put even more time and effort to making this the best realistic career mode rule set ever created. I also want to mention that in addition to the rule set, I've also created a Google Drive where you guys will be able to upload your CoreDNA builds and share them with each other. There will be a Discord launching in the next week after this video is up as well, so I'm hoping we can build a fun community together. All relevant links will be in the description below, so be sure to check that out. For now, that's all I wanted to say. I really hope you guys enjoy this rule set. If you like it, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time, guys. Laters!